I am absolutely terrified for Sean Strickland and his fight coming up against Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 328 in just a week. This man is fucked. Khamzat Chimaev has the most disgusting wrestling in the UFC. His ability to hold people down and take them down is second to none. His athleticism is what allows him to do this. And I'm going to be walking you guys through a few clips today of Khamzat Chimaev shooting some of the most disgusting takedowns and showing you why his takedowns actually work to control people on the ground. So let's get right into this here. I've got a clip pulled up. This is his fight against Dricus du Plessis that he just had. So first things first, I want you to look at that right there. Notice this. Dricus starts out in an orthodox stance. Well, he's actually in southpaw, and Khamzat is an orthodox. Dricus switches his stance. This is Khamzat's immediate cue, because look at how now his lead leg is right here for the taking. Right here. All Khamzat has to do is just reach down and grab it. Now, Dricus does try to land a knee on the way in here, and he does low-key clip him in the face, but it doesn't matter because now, I want you to pay attention to this. Look at how Khamzat's torso is completely parallel to the ground. Almost completely parallel. All of his force is driving off of this back leg, through his body, right through Dricus's hips. Look how upright Dricus is standing. Now, this is a little bit of a defensive error on Dricus's part, I won't lie. However, Khamzat driving straight through the hips of Dricus. His force drives right through his hips. Now, Dricus does something good here. He starts to sprawl, right? They teach you that in wrestling. Get your hips back and sprawl. But at this point, it does not matter because look at how, no matter if he sprawls here, if he starts to drop his hips, it doesn't matter because his hips are already fully controlled by Khamzat's body. And if he were to shoot his hips back, they're just going to go airborne. And he's literally going to be like airplane helicoptered on Khamzat's shoulder. So Khamzat, another thing he does here is he grabs this single leg. He goes for a single leg, but he wraps around the other hip. He wraps his hand around this hip as well while he's going for the single leg. So now, as Dricus starts to sprawl, Khamzat essentially connects his hands. This is you can consider this connecting his hands because he's got control of both of Dricus's hips here, both of his legs, and he turns the corner. See how his knee, dude, look at how deep Khamzat's left knee is. It's below Dricus. There's no stopping this takedown once he's here. And now he swings his right hip around the corner. Look at how, where he started, where he starts, facing, his hips are facing this way towards this ESPN Plus logo. And when he finishes, he's completely perpendicular to where he was. He is fully underneath of Dricus's hips. Look where Dricus's weight is. It's so off balance. He's balancing on one leg. He has no chance. Something Dricus tries to do here is lock up this guillotine, which it's not even close. Another thing, look at how vertical Khamzat is, postured up, so that this, even though his head is on the outside, there's no chance of this guillotine being in. So when Khamzat finishes this takedown, dude, he is fully 180 degrees turned around from where he started. I want you to look at that. Look at how his butt is facing in the opposite direction now. He has fully made his way completely around Dricus, and all he has to do now is just keep circling. He finishes this takedown. He has rotated a full 270 degrees. And I want you to keep in mind the speed that this happens at. Let me play this in full speed for you. From completely vertical to his hips. Now I've got this slowed down. But look at how he just spins. He spins, he spins, he spins. There's no stopping that. There's no stopping that. Like, there's just not. And he does another thing here. He wraps up the legs. He keeps... This is so cool. This is so cool. I want you to look right here at his right hand. Look at how he cups the outside ankle so that Dricus can't swing this leg around. Khamzat's back, right? He would want to go under his hips and swing it around to keep his guard. But Khamzat grabs that and swings his hips right past and passes the guard. That's so beautiful. Now, Dricus, pretty intelligently, he has a hold of this guillotine grip. He knows he's not finishing the guillotine, so he uses it to try and sweep. He rolls over his left shoulder. He flips Khamzat. This is so goofy. Khamzat's fully flipped over. Now, any normal human being who isn't Khamzat Chimaev is getting swept here. Because Dricus fully has flipped him onto his back, and all he needs to do is take his hips, turn him down to the floor, and he's on top. But also, the problem is, Dricus keeps this grip here around Khamzat's neck just a little bit too long. And because Khamzat just allows his shoulder to go to the mat here, like this, that means that this arm is trapped, and it blocks Dricus from turning. Like, he wants to turn this way. This way. He wants to turn that way, and he can't. He literally can't because of how Khamzat has his arm blocked now. He grips a hold of Dricus's armpit and starts to pull him back to Dricus's right side. He starts to pull him back to the right. Pulls his shoulders back to the mat. And then he lets go of that. And he's just back on top. Like, he just flips his hips. Look at the athleticism here. This is what I'm talking about. Look at how Khamzat lands butt to the mat right now. Just pops. He just pops his hips over. Just pops them over. This is a battle. When you have two guys laying on their back, pause. Mega pause. When you got two guys laying on their back, it's a battle to who can get hip height, who can get their hips higher in the air and pointed towards the ground. That's who wins the battle. And Khamzat obviously wins this battle. Look at his hips are pointed to the ground. They're higher. Dricus is just laying on his butt. So now Khamzat is in north-south position here. And all he has to do is just keep pressure down on Dricus. And now Dricus works to get his guard back, right? He inserts that knee. He gets that knee in. He's trying to get this leg back over top. Khamzat's stepping over. He's still got a hold of this guillotine grip. And it's actually a little bit deeper now, except for the fact that it's reversed. He would need this leg over top to prevent Khamzat from circling around this way to the left. And he would need this leg inside. So now all Khamzat has to do to beat this guillotine, to beat a guillotine, you need to be perpendicular to it. So the guillotine is on Dricus's left side. So Khamzat needs to get to Dricus's right side, and he beats the guillotine. And we see that here, right? He jumps across, and once he clears the knee of Dricus, which he does right here, he's out. He's completely safe. And another thing he does here, look at this wrap he takes. He starts to wrap his arm around the neck of Dricus with a crossface, and he starts to set up a Von Flue choke, which is going to either submit Dricus or force him to let go of this guillotine grip. So now what he does here, what Khamzat does here, he connects his hands. He's driving his shoulder down. He's putting so much pressure on the carotid artery on the right side of Dricus, and all he would need to do is keep pushing his weight in this way and start turning his head this way. He'll force the left shoulder of Dricus, the left shoulder, this shoulder, into the neck. I'll show it on this side. Into the neck. Closes off this artery while his arm is across the other side, and he would start to choke him out. You can see it here, right? He locks it up tighter, and he starts to drive that weight down, so much so that Dricus's hand is effectively trapped here, so he has to reach here and pull on his shoulder in order to relieve that pressure so he can get that arm out. And now he's safe. Now he's safe. But now you're stuck in Khamzat's side control. Terrifying place to be. All right, here's another clip I want to show you. This is his fight with Kevin Holland. This was one of the most insane displays of scrambling ability and pure athleticism in a wrestler that I've ever seen in the UFC. This is so nuts. It's just so nuts. So we start out here, obviously, fake glove touch. Dickhead move, but you know what? Oh, shit. Okay. So fake glove touch, right? But what does this do, right? First of all, I want you to look. Kevin Holland's hand is up in the air right now. He's standing completely straight up, and his hips are wide open. There's nothing in the way. So that's what Khamzat's doing here. It's a dick move, but it's fucking smart. He gets Holland to raise his hands, and look at the speed on this shot, bro. Look at the depth he gets on this penetration step. I know it's blurry as hell, but look at that. Look at that. He's already at the hips of Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland is an athletic guy, but he is already at the hips. And once he gets a hold of you, it's over. Again, I want you to take note. Look at how Khamzat's body is completely parallel with the ground. You see this time and time again with elite athletes, whether it's in the NFL, the NBA, whatever. Guys that are most explosive and the fastest and able to change direction the quickest are the ones that are able to get their bodies so close to parallel with the ground, because you're literally translating all of your force completely in the horizontal direction. And all of your body weight is traveling in that direction. Of course, you're going to be the fastest. So Khamzat dives in here. Another thing. Again, look at how he turns the corner with his hips. Look at how he finishes this takedown. He is completely 180 degrees. He's soared past Kevin Holland. He's behind Kevin Holland, where he's grabbing this single leg and he's wrapping the hip. And what he does here, he pulls with his right arm. He pulls Kevin Holland's leg so that his weight shifts this way. His weight shifts this way. And then he pulls on this hip. So now he's circling Kevin Holland's hip down towards the mat as he pulls this leg out from under him, which forces Kevin Holland's weight to just go down to the floor. It literally just forces Kevin Holland to the floor. And it's pure technique. Like, look at how crisp that is. He just circles him down to the mat. Now, Kevin Holland is in doggy with Khamzat Chimaev working his way up onto his back. Again, notice this wrap here. It just doesn't work in these scenarios. Like, it just doesn't. So now Khamzat lets go of the leg, and he grabs a hold of that waist. So now he's got a body lock. He's got a rear body lock. This is where Khamzat is so dangerous. But he gets this rear body lock. Kevin Holland starts to stand up. And as Kevin Holland starts to stand up, notice where his legs go. He steps up with this hand, and Khamzat is immediately dive bombing his weight to the left, just throwing himself to the left. And now, Kevin Holland's left leg hasn't even come off of the floor yet, so he has nothing to step with. So he has to reach this arm out and post. And Kevin Holland is athletic, so he gets his feet to the mat and he starts to try and stand up, but his weight is just falling down to the left. His weight is totally off to his left here, and there's nothing he can do about it. So Khamzat literally, look at this fucking frog mode that he goes. He just wink. Watch his fucking butt. Watch his hips. He literally comes completely off of the ground and just pulls all of his weight onto Kevin Holland's hips, and that just forces Holland down to the ground. So notice this, right? As Khamzat's falling to the ground, he goes frog mode. He goes completely frog mode, and his left knee. Look at how it just springs down to the mat. So now Khamzat's body weight is fully controlled against his horizontal post on the ground, and he just swings. Now, Kevin Holland does something interesting here. He tries to roll through, right? Like, he springs off, he tries to roll through. But what Khamzat does, he keeps a hold of this body lock, and as Holland rolls through, he just rolls right with him. Check that out. Look at this hand he has here. Look at, again, how this man is completely fucking upside down. Completely upside down. Doesn't matter. He keeps that hold of that body lock, which allows him to keep connected to Kevin Holland and just roll through with him. So now he ends right back up, right back in the same position he started. And he's just going to do it again. He stays behind Kevin Holland, And now they're up in the clinch. Kevin Holland does a good job. He gets up, but Khamzat's got his hands connected. And you'll see here, he starts to initiate another throw. He steps his leg deep between Kevin Holland's legs. These underhooks are so high. Double underhooks is such a great position for control when you're the guy in the clinch. If you're just worried about taking somebody down, double underhooks is the way to do it. He steps between Holland's legs, and he, again, just whips his body weight. Whips it this way. Just whips his weight that way. Because what he's doing is he's pulling Kevin Holland's weight out from under him. That's all he's doing. That's what he's doing. He's pulling his weight out from under him, forces Kevin Holland to take a step. Now Kevin Holland is so off balance. He's balancing on one leg, and all Khamzat has to do is just literally keep doing it, because eventually you're going to catch him. You're going to catch him in a spot where he's not able to post. And you got to give Kevin Holland credit for how athletic he is as well, being able to stay in these positions, right? So now he does something interesting. This is called reaping the leg in wrestling. He essentially, what he does is he pulls Kevin Holland's up against the cage here. He takes his foot right here, and he just sneaks it behind the ankle, and he pulls it back. And this, again, look at all these techniques he uses. All the technique he uses to just put Kevin Holland off balance. Look at Kevin Holland's body right now. Look at how off balance he is. So he holds on to that. Now, this isn't a great view, but he's holding on to that reap, and he uses it to get behind Kevin Holland. Because in order for Kevin to stay upright, he almost has to like raise his hands, raise his arms up in the air. If he leaves his arm in this wizard right here, he's going to fall backwards. So he's got to start fighting to get his weight forward, and as soon as he does that, Khamzat just, boop, peeks out the back. Now he's behind you, and there's nothing you can do. When Khamzat gets a rear body lock on you, he's taking you down. And look what he does. He drives his weight to the right. Drive, drive, drive. And now he's behind you, fully behind with a rear body lock. And he does the same thing he did before, where he just drops his weight. Just drops his weight to the ground. And Kevin Holland tries to roll through again. And he almost does. This right here, we not even going to chalk that up to technique. This is pure fucking athleticism. This is pure just girth and strength. He is one arm wrapped right around Kevin Holland's waist, and he just sits him back down. Just sits him back down because he's that much stronger than Kevin Holland. And now he's forced to go back the other way, and Khamzat just goes right behind him. He pulls him in. Look at how quickly he moves from being on like the side of Holland, swings his hips, and now he's completely behind Holland. He's just a step ahead of him the whole time. That's all it is. He's just a step ahead of him. He's sitting behind Kevin Holland, and now his hips, look at where his hips are. They're higher than Kevin Holland's. He's got these double underhooks again. Holland tries to turn back into him. Khamzat blocks with his knee. He blocks Kevin Holland from getting this leg back in front of him. And he just pushes him back down to the mat. And he just forces, look at how he forces Kevin Holland's hips to point away. He forces his hips to point away. This is a huge thing in jiu-jitsu. If I can get your hips to point away from me, I win. If I'm past your guard and I can get your hips to point away from me, I win. Because now, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep scooting this way? I'm just going to follow you, and I'm just going to stay on top. And if you keep scooting, I'm just going to slide this knee in and get to mount. So Holland tries to get his back to the mat. He's trying to get his hips turned back in. And he really can't, because first of all, if you look here, Khamzat's pinned himself up against the cage. He's got himself up against the cage. This knee is being used to block Kevin Holland from turning his hips back in. And even if he does turn his hips back in, he's going to end up being in bottom mount, which is not where you want to be. So Khamzat's using the cage as a block so that he can't move anywhere and Kevin Holland can't swing his legs to get back in. So Khamzat just stays here. He just waits because he's in such a good position here. he doesn't need to try and advance and lose the position. So he's waiting. He's waiting for Kevin to do something. Just waiting, just hanging out, just boys having fun. Just waiting. And then he creates a little bit of space. And you see what I was talking about? He slides this knee. Starts to slide this knee in. And this is exactly what I was talking about. If he would have just waited here, he would have been fine. But it would have been a stall, right? So he says, fuck it, I'm going to slide my knee in. I'm going to work to move to mount. Kevin Holland knows jiu-jitsu. He starts to slide this knee in. That gives Kevin the opportunity to get his legs back involved. So he bumps Khamzat's leg away with his knee, creating space that he needs. And Khamzat stays on top, but that's what allows Kevin Holland to get his guard back. So if this were a jiu-jitsu match, good job by Kevin Holland. But since this is MMA, now Holland is on his back. Khamzat ends up on top of you, and we all know this ends with a Darce choke for Khamzat. So this is all to say, Khamzat's wrestling and his grappling control. This is just a few examples, but I think these are two of the coolest examples of just the small details that Khamzat uses in order to just be absolutely gross. Just be absolutely gross on the ground. There's so many little things that he does, just moving your weight around. He moves your weight around exactly how he wants to. He does what he wants. He does what he wants on the ground. And it's all these little details combined with the fact that he's an absolutely superior athlete to everyone he goes against that allows him to be so dominant with his wrestling and his grappling. So I'm absolutely terrified for Sean Strickland because Sean Strickland is somebody who stands really upright in the cage. There's a lot of teeps. And Sean Strickland's an orthodox fighter. So at least there's that. If he was southpaw, I'd say this fight is a complete wash and he's fucked. But he does have that going for him. So that lead leg, like we saw in the Drickus fight, is not just going to be sitting out there for the taking. However, because of how upright he stands, it's going to be tough to stop a takedown from Khamzat. I'm going to do more of a breakdown on Sean Strickland and the ways that I think he can win. But it's just a matter of he's not going to win. He's not going to win. It's impossible. It's impossible. So you know what? That's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'd love to do more breakdowns like this. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted. I have no idea how it works on YouTube with UFC footage. We'll see. But yeah, drop a like. Subscribe if you're interested in more of these videos. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one.